Assalamu alaikum. From today onwards, what you are going to listen is a true story, yours, mine, and the story of all of our lives. A story about a wonderful past, present, and of a wonderful future. This story starts from when there was nothing, and it will end. When there will be nothing left from the skies to the earth, and whatever is in between them. Stars, planets, and the sun time. And all those creations which we call the universe in our language today. We will start a journey. A journey to explore this universe, who created it, what is hidden inside it, and a small planet which we call our world. What has happened in it? What will happen in it? A journey to explore all of that. And our journey starts 14 billion years ago. But why 14 billion years? Have you ever seen the constellation of these 7 stars in the night sky? My mother told me about it when I was a child. It's called the Ursa Major, or in Arabic or Urdu it is called the Dub-e-Akbar from Pakistan. This constellation is visible almost every night, and if your eyes were to be the most powerful telescope in the world, then you would have been able to see a tiny red blob above this central star. This is the farthest known galaxy so far, trillions of stars in a form of a mare. Red blob, and on such a distance from us that the light, which is the fastest thing there is, and left its surface, takes 14 billion years to reach us. It makes at least one thing clear, that in our journey, we can go this far at least. But the 99.9985% of this 14 billion years is before the time of humans emerged, only in the last few seconds of this cosmological timescale. Then how shall we be able to see the birth of the universe? To see this, free yourself from the chains of time. And come with me. We will explore all that knowledge which will tell us the true story of all the creation. There is a very common branch of knowledge around us which is called science. And a branch of science is called the cosmogony, meaning the study of the birth of universe which enabled humans to make a discovery in year 1964. It was such an amazing find that its discoverers Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson were awarded the Nobel Prize. They had discovered a sort of radiation. But the strange thing is that this radiation wasn't coming from any star or any planet, and neither from any of the constellations. It was just like an energy spread through the entire universe wherever they looked. They found this energy. It was as if a huge bang or a great expansion created it and spread it everywhere, as if an echo born from a great bang happened billions and billions of years ago. They named is the cosmic microwave background. Today we know it as the Big Bang, that the skies and earth and whatever is in between was all combined together once and was then separated after a mighty force which today we know as the Big Bang. But this discovery also came with a big problem which is known as the horizon problem. The problem is that sometimes we see this energy spread as far as 46 billion light years, and in some parts of the sky, just 0.3 million light years. It can only mean one thing, that the light is traveling on different speeds in the different parts of the universe, which seems impossible. It seems to break all the known laws of physics in the nature as we know it. Light has only one speed, approximately 300,000 kilometers per second. But if it was true that light travels at different speeds in different regions of the universe, then we must accept that the time present in those regions will also be passing differently at this point. One starts to realize that science also has its limitations. But who can blame science? It is only a few hundred years old knowledge. So we must also explore the knowledge that existed before this few hundred years, the knowledge of ancient people, and to explore the knowledge of ancient people. We will have to go far back in time, much far back. It happened 173 years ago, in year 1849, that an archaeologist in Nineveh called Austin Henry discovered some clay tablets, the tablets that were used thousands of years ago for writing. Austin Henry named those tablets Enuma Elish. It contained a story written on 7 tablets, 3,500 years ago, and in which people are talking about the creation of the universe, and they say that when there was no sky, and when there was no earth, when there was neither any tree nor any bog, and it was all just water. There was no human, and there was no destiny written at that time. There was an order from the God. Now this is something very interesting, and if we study the entire text of 1,000 lines, we will realize that before anything was created, they speak about the presence of water. Lots and lots of water. Further, it speaks about an eternal garden and the creation of human and its soul which descended from the sky. But probably the most interesting thing in this text is a word from its Greek translation called logos, meaning something that was said. That means when God wanted to create something, he said something, but what did he say? These tablets do not speak of it. Let's go to another civilization who lived even before them, a civilization that lived 5,000 years ago. The Sumerians. Samara was also a civilization in Iraq, and they too have written in their tablets that there was a supreme being called Namu, who was forever present. Namu created the skies and the earths from the great water. And don't think that the Sumerians are to be taken lightly. Sumerians were the oldest civilization that we know. In today's world, there are at least 100 different inventions that we use which were made by Sumerians, for example. First ever text was written by Sumerians, the first ever clock. First ever irrigation system and even first ever geometrical system was invented by Sumerians. Let's say that only 2 civilizations are not enough, so we look at a third civilization, 3,000 years old Egypt, which was a superpower of its time. They too speak of Nun, who created skies and the earths from a massive stormy ocean of water. An ocean of water which was completely hidden in dark. The Greeks, who too speak about the creation from a black sea of water called Okeanos, 2,300 years ago. But one can say that these civilizations lived closer to each other and neither many years apart. It is possible that they might have learned these concepts from each other. Then let me take you to civilizations which lived very far from them. The Aboriginal people from Australia. According to the Aborigines, there was a Lord of all the souls who was all alone. He created light and gave life to the earth. Even farther from the Aboriginals, the Taoist mythology from China. They too speak of a God who separated the huge waters from each other, who placed mountains where they are, and he did it with his knowledge and with the words. He said Korean mythology of Cheonjiwang. After, China also speaks about the unified skies and earths at some point in the past. Now we are left with just 2 continents, so let's have a look into their cultures. Mande mythology from West Africa and Yoruba mythology from Central Africa. Both of them speak about a mighty power that was all alone. And then he created everything from water. Then the last continent of America, where there is an ancient tribe of Cherokee, which is a red Indian tribe, and the islands of Hawaii, which are located in the middle of the oceans, far away from all the other lands. They also talk about skies and earths, created from waters in 7 days. And lastly, a country in Europe called Finland, where they still talk about Väinämöinen. How he created everything from water. You must have noticed by now that I'm telling you cultures thousands of miles away and thousands of years apart from each other, but there was a problem in all those mythologies. There was some concepts pretty ridiculous in them. For example, there was a concept of earth bound in golden chains after it was created. Or, as in Finland, where a crow comes in and helps Väinämöinen to create the universe. We all know that Earth is not chained with any golden chain, and neither the creation of this universe was the work of any crow. So I filtered all these ridiculous things and studied these cultures with the similarities they have with each other's, and I noticed that the common concept is always the same word by word. A mighty force called the God. He was all alone, and there was no one else other than him. He was the one who created everything from water, and it happened in 6 or 7 days. Now, it seems that the same message was sent in all the corners of the world. The messengers were different, yes, and they came in different times, but the message and its sender was always the same. It proves one thing, that there is a branch of knowledge besides science in which 85% people of the planet believe somehow. And that knowledge is called religion. But which religion? Is a big question. There are 3,000 different religions in the world today, and all of them claim to be the right one. Let's have a look into some of the major religions and some of the oldest philosophies. Judaism is indeed one of the oldest religions. It says that the earth was created by God. But this earth is a flat earth, and that it is floating on water, and there is paradise above the sky and hell under the earth. And then Christianity, the largest religion in the world today. They too say that God created the universe. But according to them all, the stars, sun, and everything is rotating around our world. And all of the creation was done just 6,500 years ago. And one, the seventh day. The God rested the Greek philosophy is 2,500 years old and is still influential today. The Greeks too believed in a godly creation of this universe, but they also believed that a goddess called Andromeda flew into the sky, and wherever she flew, her milk was spilled, and it created a milky starry way. Even today, we know this path with the same name, the Milky Way, suggested by the Greeks, then the Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism. They're all ancient religions, but insist that the universe has no beginning or an end. It was always there, and it will always be there. But wait a moment and look back on these concepts. If Judaism is true, then why there is morning in America and evening in Japan at the same time? A flat Earth should have morning and evening in all the countries at the same time. And also there are 4,550 satellites revolving around our Earth right now, which prove that it's not flat if Christianity is true, that it all happened just 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. Then the light from GNZ11 was not supposed to reach us. It would have been impossible. Even more confusing is that the God who created all this in 6 or 7 days. Why did he get tired? He's supposed to be all might, all powerful. And also, there are 50 different versions of the Holy Scripture of Christianity called the Bible. So which version are we supposed to accept? Which version is the truthful one? And if the Greeks were right, then who spilled the milk on these other galaxies, which are actually collections of trillions and trillions of stars? And if the Hinduism, Jainism, and Buddhism are correct, that the universe was always there and will always be there, then why are galaxies drifting away from each other's? And on such a high speed that only our Milky Way is traveling in space at 2.1 million kilometers per hour. And anything that is traveling in space has a beginning and an end. At this point, one can say that these religions too have their limitations. The message was same at some point, but with time, a lot has changed in them.